The story you're about to hear is true, only the whiskey makes it sound better. I operate on the west side of Richmond, Virginia, where private eyes keep their eyes out for loose women, and private dicks keep getting arrested. It was a dismal, thick kind of evening in late October. I was in my office, thinking about how to promote legendary members. Outside, the darkened city was all quiet, just the occasional song and dance number from a jerk splashing about in rain puddles. The door opened, and in walked a dame. She was a redhead, with wings. She walked through my door like a tigress walks into a Burmese orphanage, red hair and the kind of curves that if you were a car, would make you want to hug the road. No dame her age could afford a set of wings like that, and the makeup she had on confirmed her identity. She had bad news written on her like October of '29. Project Legends was born that night.
Hey, Devra, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. How about yourself?
I am doing well, doing well. Now, I have to ask, because you are the seamstress behind Parlay 8. How did you get into creating these pirate kits?
About 11 years ago, Jay, my hubby, and I decided we want to do a couple's costume, and decided to do the whole pirate thing because that was something we both had in common. But when I started looking at costumes, most of the women pirate stuff was, let's be honest, slutty. Very much a tomboy and not into that. So I was like, all right, I haven't really sewn anything big in a while. And I said, I'm going to jump in with 2 feet first and make 2 completely outfits for us within the week right before Halloween.
Oh, wow. So it took you a week to make both those outfits.
Yep. Shirt, pants, vest. I made my first corset and both of our frock coats. So I literally every day after work, I came home, set up my sewing machine at the dining room table. He was in charge of food, and I was literally sewing until the first trick-or-treater, at least on my piece. But it was so much fun. We loved it, and it was mostly for the kids. And then after that, we're like, this is cool.
It is very cool. You guys have very, very unique pieces, but again, they are appropriate for the time period, that golden age of piracy. So were you trained as a seamstress? Because these are amazing outfits.
Thank you. No, not really. I've studied. I'm a nerd. I'm an engineer, so I would take the pattern directions and kind of study them, and anything I didn't understand, I would Google it, when YouTube was starting to get into its thing. Some of it was on YouTube, most of it wasn't, and it was a lot of trial and error. And it's been a lot of that over the last 11 years of sewing, is what worked and what hasn't. Actually, I find that making the pirate clothing and the kit a lot more forgiving than normal everyday clothes. I kind of suck at that, but I'm really good at this.
But you're really good at this, and this is your baby.
I enjoy doing it a lot.
So when did you guys transition? When did you transition from, hey, this is a fun hobby, to we could make a business out of this?
We started after that first year. We made the costumes, as we called it then. I had spent so much time into it, and I was like, we need to wear these again. And he was all about it too. He was like, he loved putting it on. And we were living in Maryland at the time, and I used to go to Maryland Renaissance Fair as a kid. And I told him, I was like, you realize we can wear this going to the Renaissance Fair. So we started going to the Renaissance Fair, and we wore this, and he was, at least, a lot of people were stopping to ask for his pictures, and then they were asking him where he got it from. And he was saying that I made it. And their reaction was pretty amazing, that just randomly somebody making this stuff and what we were doing. And we had family and friends who saw the quality. And when you really start getting into looking at the market out there, men's clothing of this time era is not that prominent. It's more of the dresses, the corsets, the stuff for the women. So looking at that niche, that's where it kind of like, okay, let's give it a try. So I think it was 2 years after our first time getting into all this, we opened up the Etsy store, and I started making the vests. I was making some women's stuff, but after a couple years, we definitely went in the route of just the men's clothing, because we found that was more of what people were wanting.
Okay. And then, so you guys start selling on Etsy, your business starts growing. When did you guys become acquainted with Smokin' Bacon?
We became acquainted with Smokin' Bacon in 2019, basically right when the inception came along. He asked us to come in, and he made a community specifically for us pirates, because he thought it was cool. Also, it's my best friend, so he was trying any way to get me to come in and be involved and talk amongst into the app. So he created the Tortuga community for us to come in. And he was getting into the live streams. It kept bugging me. And I actually had found one of our friends to come and do the first pirate live stream, because I was like, I don't want to do this. This is not really my forte. But we decided that it might be cool if we did something maybe once a month with our crew, because we then started getting into the reenacting, and we did Polar Plunge, and we brought it out there, and we did a little recording with them. And then COVID happened. So we were jonesing to be in our stuff and talk piracy. That's where we got into the weekly live stream. And 50 plus episodes later, here we are today.
Now, COVID changed a lot of things for a lot of people, but an app like Smokin' Bacon allowed there to still be community during a time where we could not meet in person. How did Smokin' Bacon and the community that Smokin' Bacon has set up help you guys with your business and personal life during COVID?
Amazingly, it helped more than what we thought it was going to be. When we first started, we thought it was just kind of be fun, to mess around. But the questions we started getting from the community, and as we started talking, obviously you come and you see the set, we really get into it. People were just really interested in what drew us to piracy. And then when we would start talking about some of the facts and that we knew our history, they would get intrigued by the history and start asking more questions. And we found that we can be entertaining and still teach and talk about the stuff that we liked. And it did help us when we got back into doing the reenacting, with being able to interact with the crowds and find the pieces that was really interesting for people in the Smokin' Bacon community to be able to use that in person. It kept us on our toes with learning and continuing with what we were doing, and not kind of fall into a backslide of most people were kind of, I don't want to say depressed, but it really slowed, the business itself slowed down. We weren't selling a lot, but at least with the live streamed, it gave us another option to sit there and learn and talk and figure out how to talk the historical stuff that could sometimes be pretty boring and still keep it interesting.
And that is a lot of times people think history is boring. And then when you just kind of shift it a little bit, and it's not sitting in a classroom being spoken to, but it's live, it's interactive, it can definitely pique people's interest.
Especially when you start talking about the language of the 18th century and how dirty it sounds, but it's not really that.
Could you give us an example?
Let's see. We catch me on the spot. Well, one is a funny word, and it is kind of dirty. It's called beard splitter. It's your version of a man who's very loose.
And what is that? You said beard splitter?
Beard, like a beard splitter.
Okay, I'm gonna use that in everyday life going forward. So you guys built the community in Smoke and Bacon. You were able to educate so many people during the lockdown, but how has Smoke and Bacon helped you as a business?
It helped us as a business show what, being a pirate and doing what we're doing is so niche. But being within the community and talking to them and finding things that maybe are not the clothing, but the accessories, the stuff that Ballast J makes with the woodworking, or some of even the small bags and the cockades, things like that could be used for other things, and they were still interested. I mean, I make Christmas balls with the black flags on them, and we actually had plenty of the community members buy them for one, support. It was something that wasn't totally out of the box with pirate, obnoxious pirate stuff, but they loved the pirate stuff enough that they would do that. So being with the community at Smoke and Bacon helped us see that we don't have to focus just on the niche of the reenactors and the Renaissance, that there was an opportunity for us, to those who are pirates at heart, but not wear it, and what we could be able to provide for them.
Okay. And that's great. So it's opening your door to new markets.
Yeah. It definitely opened up a lot with that. And with the business now, we're trying to expand on our YouTube channel as well, with getting stuff out there. Hopefully that will help bring in more attention to what we would do. And we've actually had some of the people in the community who have come out to some of our pirate reenacting stuff. So we've met some of them in person too, which was pretty cool.
Oh, wow. That is pretty cool. So tell me a little bit about the reenactments that you do.
So we reenact with a group out of Virginia Beach, and it's the 1712. So it's the later half of the Golden Age piracy. And we actually go out for a full weekend. There are a bunch of pirate festivals, especially here in Virginia, and we do a bunch in North Carolina. And we'll go down on a Friday. We set up our encampment. We stay out there all weekend. We have a tent. We sleep in the 18th century style tent, cots. We try to keep all the modern stuff hidden. And it's just an interaction with the public. It's teaching them, joking around with them, kind of being obnoxious pirates sometimes. But that's typically, we'll do it like 9 to 5, and at 5 o'clock it's over. And then the crew and us will hang out. We'll have a couple drinks. We listen to music. We talk. We're friends. That's kind of really neat. So, and then you crash, and the next day you do it all over again. But it's a lot of fun. The first time we did it, and so I do it as a boy because we're supposed to be historically accurate. So I'm a cabin boy when I do this. And I remember the first time a little girl realized I was a woman, and her face lit up, and she's like, "You're a girl." And she came up, and she was not too scared, and I was able to talk to her and joke, do the pirate games, and just seeing the smile on her face when they walked away. That was probably something we weren't expecting to get out of it when we started doing the reenacting, but it's one of my favorite parts of it.
That is so great. That is representation is important. I tell people that all the time. Just seeing another woman it can change the mind and hearts of so many young girls out there. Representation.
It's like I say, you can be whatever you want to be, and I definitely feel with being an engineer and then doing this, I'm a full proponent of that.
Excellent. So what is next for Parlay 8?
Next, we want to get more into we want to do more charity work. We want to do some more stuff with the community. Right before COVID, we wanted to start getting into the hospitals. Unfortunately, that's paused up, but we're looking at other opportunities locally. Maybe we know some schools and libraries that might like to have us come in and do a little spiel about the piracy and teach them and still be in there and interact and have fun for the kids. So that's something next that we would like to do with it. We're revamping our website as well to try to get it a little bit more on part with who we are today. We was trying to do kind of a destination. We overdid it a little bit. That's why the YouTube was come around. Just keeping ourselves a little bit broad. But I personally, and what we have talked about, getting out there and doing more with the community, giving back to what we have gotten from them at least, but giving back to the community.
That sounds so great. That sounds so great. So Devra, thank you so much for meeting with me and explaining to me all about the Golden Age of Pirates and Parlay 8.
Thank you so much for taking the time to interview me.
No problem.